All right, guys. Bitcoin obviously is pumping again. And we're above 27K again. So I believe the upward pressure is definitely there. BlackRock actually thinks Powell should actually keep the rates high throughout most of next year. And I think that's kind of in line with what Jerome Powell wants to do. But he's actually not going to raise the rates. XRP, Litecoin, Dogecoin has basically been branded as not legal in New York without special licenses, because I actually don't really know why. Ripple has tried to rebrand ODL because for a better experience. I'm not really sure how rebranding it makes for a better experience. And of course, SBF's entire family is corrupt. His dad actually thought that his son wasn't paying him enough, so he got his mom involved. So it's a whole corrupted crime family from Sam Bankman-Fried. One big happy crime family. And they should all go to jail, but his parents are being sued for civil losses and not criminal losses. So that's what we actually have for today. So you have, so that's like kind of what's on the docket. The thing is, I do believe Bitcoin's going to solidly go above 27,000 sooner or later. Because like this is the second time we've actually breached, and this time it stayed up for a little bit longer than last time. You see all the alts are actually recovering as well. They're all doing pretty well. I do believe that Bitcoin can get to 30,000 by the end of the month. Hopefully 35, but I'll probably just go to but basically I'll just go with 30. We're about 2.8K away, but we got about 10, 11 days left. So I do believe we actually have plenty of time to actually get it. So I'm not really that worried about that. So, yeah, right now, I see us going to maybe 28 by the, I see us going to like 28 by the end of the week. And then hopefully 30K by the end of the month. I mean, we've only got like 10 days left, but I do think we are actually I think we're going to go up pretty fast, honestly. And that's because I think the Fed tomorrow will give us like more reassurance that the interest rates are going to stay similar. We actually might dump a little bit tomorrow because like after the FOMC meeting, it's customary for us to dump a little bit. I mean, there's basically no chance that they're going to lower rates tomorrow. So I can see us like dumping a little bit, but not very much. And then like once that stabilizes, I do think there'll be more upward pressure. I mean, we know that the Bitcoin ETFs are going to come around sooner or later. So I definitely think that they're going to be, I don't think the Bitcoin ETFs are going to come around sooner or later. So I definitely think there's some upward pressure from that. I also think there's like upward pressure for people to buy just because like Bitcoin's like actually below 30 right now and people do actually believe it's low. And overall, I am more bullish for September than bearish because the only other thing that could really drag us down is the FOMC meeting. And I don't really see the FOMC meeting actually dragging us down this time. So I think Bitcoin overall like is going to be bullish for the rest of September. In October and November, as we get closer to the halving and as we get closer to these ETFs, there are new deadlines coming. And as the SEC pushes the deadlines back, I do believe Bitcoin will like dip a little bit on either of those, but I think they should recover fairly quickly. And the thing is, like, I think those are priced in. I don't think anyone expects the SEC to actually approve ETFs until next year, until like early next year. So I don't think it'll affect the price that much, but I think the upward pressure is heavier than the downward pressure. There's definitely more people buying it up than selling it down. Remember, a lot of people took Bitcoin off the exchanges, and that accounts for a lot of the liquidity decreases. But there is still demand buying it up, and I don't think there's quite as much demand selling it down right now. So I don't think we're actually going to go. I really don't think we're going to go any lower. I mean, I think 25,000 was kind of the bottom, and I don't think we're actually going to go any lower. So, and like the economy is not really all that bad. So let's actually talk about the SBF family. It's like a one big happy crime family. They were all in on the scam. Yeah, so SBF's dad actually thought his son wasn't paying him enough, so he got his mom involved. So everyone was actually involved in this big happy SBF scam. So SBF's dad thought his son wasn't paying him enough, so he got mom involved. The alleged dispute over Joe Bankman's 200,000 FTX salary versus his desired 1 million points to an unusual family dynamic at the former cryptocurrency colossus. So his dad wanted 1 million per year. He was only getting 200,000 per year. And plus he also got like millions in benefits. So like just wait until just wait until mom hears about this. For any kid, this might be not be an appealing set of words for father to utter. Some version of that warning, though, allegedly played a behind-the-scenes role in how Sam Bankman-Fried once 32 billion crypto giant was run, according to a new court filing in a company bankruptcy case. So not only did he draw a salary from the company, he received a lot of benefits. So like his dad was paid $200,000 salary by FTX's U.S. division, and the FTX estate run by John Ray III. Is actually suing the whole SBF family. But that wasn't enough, he says, telling an FTX executive in Jan 12th message that he was supposed to get $1 million annually starting the previous month, according to the filing. So, like, then he emailed his son, "Gee, Sam, I don't know what to say," he wrote. According to the filing, "This is the first I've heard of a $200K a year salary," putting Barbara on this. So, obviously, like, Barbara is the former FTX CEO, Bankman-Fried's mom. So Bankman's influence paid off, not only for him, but for Fried too. So basically, within 2 weeks, Bankman-Fried gifted Bankman and Fried together $10 million in funds originating from Alameda within 3 months. Within 3 months, Bankman-Fried caused the people to be deeded $16.4 million property in the Bahamas, paid for with funds ultimately provided by FTX Trading. So basically, like, he gave his parents $16.4 million, and obviously, the new FTX wants that back because that is customer money, and they need money to actually pay people off. So SBF's father was unhappy with his salary at FTX US, so he emailed SBF asking for more money, and then this is from Twitter, and then pulled the "I'm telling your mother" dad move and looped SBF's mom into the email thread. On January 12th, 2022, despite Bankman's employment agreement with FTX detailing a $200,000 annual salary, Bankman complained to FTX US head of administration that he was receiving gross pay of only $16,667 per month, which is essentially $200,000, when he was supposed to be getting $1 million a year starting in December. So that would be more than $80,000 a month gross. Bankman promptly brought his discontent to Bankman-Fried's attention, emailing his son, "Gee, Sam, I don't know what to say here. This is the first I've heard of the $200K a year salary," putting Barbara on this. So basically, like, Sam basically, this whole family, it was completely corrupt. And they're suing him because they're both lawyers, so they should have known that what Bankman-Fried was doing was wrong, and they basically egged it on. So they might actually lose their standing at Stanford or whichever university they're actually working at. So things are just getting worse and worse for the SBF family. They might end up losing everything and have to go to the poorhouse. And you know what? If they go to the poorhouse, I will not be shedding a tear for SBF. So basically, like, this will definitely be a this will definitely be a Netflix theories. And this is hilarious. This is very hilarious because well, it's not hilarious for the FTX customers, but I'm not really sure if their parents actually have the tens of millions of dollars. And there was some pretty fancy language into this. Really, really hilarious. Like, his dad actually wanted, like, I think his dad actually wanted a role in the Super Bowl commercial. So Bankman pushed for his role in the commercial, saying bluntly, "Okay, I'm not a star blank, and I don't really care about meeting, say, Tom Brady, but Larry David." So basically, like, he really, really wanted to have a role in the commercial. He wanted to meet some influential people. So essentially, SBF's dad has dragged his mom into this, and his whole family is into this right now. And of course, like, every one of his, like, former associates was into this too. So obviously, like, you know, his roommates were senior executives, including ex-girlfriend Carolyn Ellison, who ran Alameda Research. So like, referring to a lawsuit brought Monday against Bankman-Fried, their two attorneys told CoinDesk, "This is a dangerous attempt to intimidate Joe and Barbara and undermine the jury process just days before the child's trial begins." But this is not actually like a dangerous process to intimidate Joe and Barbara. This is like a righteous process because Joe and Barbara actually took the company's money, and Joe Bankman was actually pushing for a higher salary, and they got tens of millions of dollars in benefits. So this is like, I think this is completely right. They should definitely look into this. So the thing is, like, this whole family really deserves to go to jail because they all stole a lot of money they all stole a ton of money from the customers, and they need, at least if they don't all go to jail, if only SBF goes to jail, they actually need to get all the money back because, like, you know, like the company is having to pay creditors now, and like these guys actually stole a lot of company money for their own benefit, so it does actually need to be paid back 100%. So hopefully they really look into this, and yeah, not really a good deal. Really not a good deal for the customers, customers and associates of Alameda Research and FTX. The other news is XRP, Dogecoin, and Litecoin might have actually just been delisted in New York. And that's very odd, actually, because why would you make those illegal and have everything else, have a lot of other coins actually be legal? Which really doesn't make any real sense. I mean, this is probably definitely a political ploy by the New York DFS because it doesn't really make sense to remove these coins. So basically, New York basically has a safe list of crypto coins, and these coins were actually delisted from it. So in a notable development, the New York Department of Financial Services has undertaken a substantial revision of its virtual currency framework, resulting in XRP, Dogecoin, Litecoin, among others, being removed from the state's green list. Late Monday's announcement signified a pivotal alteration to the list that enumerates approved tokens for DFS licensed firms. This is from Bitcoinist. Prior, this green list boasted 25 tokens, including heavyweight names such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin, Litecoin, XRP, and emergent PayPal dollar. So PayPal has actually stayed on the green list, and the rest of the coins were actually removed from the list, which is complete nonsense because a lot of these coins work the same way as Bitcoin. And it's weird that it's basically a bunch of stable coins plus Bitcoin and Ethereum. So what they're clearly trying to do is make everything illegal in New York besides Bitcoin and Ethereum. So if you actually look at this list, Bitcoin and Ethereum are the only non-peg coins. The other ones are Gemini Dollar, GMO JPY, GMO USD, Pax Gold, Pax Dollar, and PayPal Dollar. So basically the only real cryptos, true cryptos that are on that list are Bitcoin and Ethereum. So basically, like he's saying, the list of green listed coins has been updated to follow the new general framework for green listed coins. Accompanying this disclosure, a press release from the department expounded on its intent to clarify the protocols associated with coin listing and delisting for regulated entities. This sweeping revision also encompasses an escalation in risk assessment norms for coin listing paradigms and enhanced stipulations for business serving the retail sector. So obviously, like, I honestly think this is all complete BS. I don't understand. I really don't understand why, I honestly really don't understand why this is actually happening. Because I think it's probably a political ploy, and I think John Deaton basically said the same. It's basically just a complete political ploy. So the correspondence from Superintendent Adrian A. Harris offers deeper insights into the department's stance, as outlined with directive form from Harris, unless otherwise informed by the New York Department of Financial Services. Virtual currency business entities do not need the department's prior approval to list coins included on the green list. So if you are an exchange in New York, the only coins that you can list on your exchange without approval from the department is basically a bunch of stable coins, Bitcoin and Ethereum. They're obviously pulling strings for Bitcoin and Ethereum. And, like Bitcoin, they can understand. Like Bitcoin, I can understand. It's like the index crypto. But Ethereum, they're definitely just protecting Ethereum. I'm sure like all these people actually have some all these people must have some connection with like Joseph Lubin and Ethereum. So like detailing further, the letter states DFS will consider adding a coin to the green list if the coin or coin issue has demonstrated historic consistent with safety and soundness and protection of customers, including broad marketplace adoption. I mean, I don't think you can say like any coin has real broad marketplace adoption. The coin is a stable coin approved by DFS or issuance in New York by a VC entity. Don't know why you need a VC entity. The letter also emphasizes that DFS maintains comprehensive discretion over green list contents, including additions, removals, or any other alterations. So obviously, XRP, Dogecoin, Litecoin do not actually meet broad marketplace adoption, nor do they have a historic record consistent with safety and soundness. Now, New York is like the financial center of the world, so this could actually definitely hurt investment. I don't know how much of the crypto investment actually comes from New York, but it's not a small amount because it is the financial center of the world, and a lot of the big investment companies actually are there, so they're probably taking cues from this as well. So I think this is complete BS. I don't know why they suddenly removed it. I think they're just trying to prop up Bitcoin, and they're especially trying to prop up Ethereum at this point. And I think they're just like removing a lot of this competition, so people have to go into Bitcoin or Ethereum. I think people would go into Bitcoin regardless, but I do think they're trying to prop up Ethereum with stuff like this. So that's the news for that. And also ODL is actually rebranding. So I guess not enough people are actually using it. So they rebranded ODL to Ripple Payments for a more user-friendly experience. In an effort to streamline its services and enhance accessibility, Ripple has rebranded its ODL section on its official website to Ripple Payments. This move comes as the company seeks to make its cross-border payment solution more user-friendly while maintaining its core functionalities. Introduced in 2018, Ripple's ODL has long been recognized as a pivotal offering, providing instantaneous and cost-effective solutions for cross-border transactions, especially favored by financial institutions. Leveraging XRP as a bridge currency, ODL has played a critical role in simplifying the complexities of international money transfers. Meanwhile, the recent removal of ODL section from Ripple's website raised eyebrows among market participants and investors, with users questioning the motive behind this change. So I think a lot of people are confused, just like I am, why Ripple actually is rebranding ODL. I don't know if they're just trying to get more people to use it because people didn't really know what ODL meant, or they're trying to get more companies to adopt it. I don't think it's going to do anything for attempting to get more companies to actually adopt Ripple. I don't think rebranding it's really going to help. But maybe they're just doing it from like a customer perspective, that if they do it, like more people will actually use ODL. I'm not really sure. I'm really not sure if that's going to work. So this is like what they're saying, quote, ODL is a word that is difficult to understand because remember, they actually like rebranded from XRapid just a couple of years back. So this is the second rebrand for ODL. So like ODL is a word that is difficult to understand at first glance for outsiders, so we have decided to consolidate it into the term Ripple Payments. This is a trend in the transition from crypto-like jargon to more mainstream. So that's their kind of like justification for rebranding ODL. Notably, despite the rebrand, Ripple Payments will continue to function exactly as ODL did. So they're not really changing anything. They're just changing the name of it, she clarified. Emi said the rebrand was about simplifying and facilitating mainstream adoption without altering the fundamental services provided. Fair. I mean, I would actually say that's pretty fair. That said, amongst the changes, Ripple's ODL partnership network has continued to flourish with over 55 countries, blah, blah, blah. So basically, like a lot of that is through Triango, but Triango's also like been kind of bought by Ripple because they own 40% of the company, so they kind of have to use it. So like that's actually the majority of their growth. So they actually got the transaction volume on ODL actually went from 53 million in 2021 to 970 million in 2022. And the thing is, like, in the first half of 2023, it went over $2 billion. So the thing is, like, they're going to have like $5 billion in terms of transactions over 2023, but yet it has not really affected the price. And there is a limit on like how much you can grow. So like they're going to do like 5x between 2022 and 2023, whereas they did about 20x from 2021 to 2022. So like it is exponential growth, but it is parrying down. There's only like so much you can grow from like the money transfer part of it. And the market's only so big there. So I don't actually believe this is really ever going to affect price because, I mean, despite them growing from 53 million to 2 billion, which is like a 40x more, which is basically like a 40x, and that's only the first half. Like, so they've grown 80x in the last 2 years. And despite ODL growing 80x, it hasn't had any effect on the price of XRP. So I don't think any of these partnerships are really ever going to affect price all that much. I don't like, otherwise they're just making up these numbers, which I actually don't think they would do because they can't in their reports. So that said, the rebranding initiative underscores the company's commitment to making its services accessible to everyone without altering the core functionalities that have made Ripple a pivotal player in cross-border transactions. While the name has changed, the commitment to innovation and user-friendly solutions remains unwavering. So the thing is, like, they've rebranded ODL, trying to get more people to use it. But I think like a lot of people are actually using ODL through the company, so I don't think that actually helps any. So the parents of disgrace, yes. Win bull run, still probably next year. I mean, like, my answer to that isn't going to change from like day to day. The mayor of Chicago wants to open a government-run grocery store. The DeFi Academy remembers when they banned exchanges on and off ramps back in the day. Crypto bros moved a long time ago. Well, the thing is, a lot of people still depend on fiat on-ramps to get into crypto. So fiat on-ramps are really important. No, I don't really believe in the Wyckoff pattern. Because, like, the thing is that the Wyckoff stuff and the Elliott waves, what I see is, like, a lot of times they're wrong, and then they just adjust the pattern. Just because you adjusted the pattern 10 times so you're finally right doesn't mean the pattern was right in the first place. If you don't get it right on the first or second time, the pattern just doesn't work because I can adjust any pattern 10 times to make it fit the actual price pattern. So no, I don't really believe in the price pattern. I don't really believe in these Elliott waves. I don't think any of that stuff actually works. Because what I see mostly for all these TA patterns and these analytics is like they're wrong and then they just adjust the pattern. DOT's biggest chain, A-Star network, is expanding and Kanto is moving. Yeah, like there's a couple of things moving on to ETH, but there's also a couple of projects moving off of ETH, especially onto like Solana, because Ethereum is just not fast enough. Japanese banking giant Nomura has launched Bitcoin adoption fund for institutional investors. Yeah, Japan's actually way more forward-looking than the United States in terms of Bitcoin adoption. Is better investment than Cardano. I think HBAR can definitely beat Cardano in terms of ROI, but it's hard to say because HBAR isn't really focusing on their DeFi. What's up, Tom Motown meeting? Look, I think the Fed meeting is the only one that can bring it down, but I don't think the Fed meeting is. I mean, if you're talking about like the Fed meeting, FOMC meeting tomorrow, I don't think it's going to bring it down that much. It could result in a little bit of a dump. But I don't think the dump will actually last long. Binance's Bitcoin trading volume plunges 50. Well, yeah, that was always going to happen with Binance.us. And the thing is, that's like mainly just Binance.us. Why is Toncoin up 41%? I don't know. Like, Telegram must have done something to maybe they're. I feel like, with Telegram, I feel like it's like really shady. I don't really know if Ton is a scam, but I'm also not sure what role Ton actually plays in Telegram. Like it does seem kind of suspicious. I like what does Ton do for Telegram hold? What does Ton holders do with Telegram? Well, I mean, like, a while ago, like Chingari moved from Ethereum to. Well, no, Chingari actually moved from Sol to Aptos. But there was that one project that actually literally moved from Sol to Solana or Sol to another chain just because they said Ethereum was too slow. And the thing is, like, they're all moving to ZK and like Ethereum layer 2, which doesn't actually play into the Ethereum fees. So like a crypto derivatives exchange actually is wait, that was last year though. I think they finally did it this year. Like DYDX moved away last year. BSC, meme coin. Well, yeah, look, meme coins are always going to rug. I mean, I think DYDX moved last year, but that was the other. But there's like a couple of other projects. Look, I don't understand why. I don't actually understand why. Why TON is so big. I feel like they're just pumping it up. I feel like someone's definitely just pumping it up. You know, the thing is, like, all these projects that are supposedly moving to Ethereum, they're all just moving to Polygon. Eclipse L2 using Solana VM. I mean, virtual machines are definitely going to have some use. I mean, they're mainly moving to Ethereum because of the liquidity on Ethereum. I just have a feeling in the next bull run, like, Ethereum's going to get really jammed up. And like no one's actually going to use the base layer. It's all going to use layer 2. Eventually, like Polygon's basically multi-chain at this point. Arbitrum actually has a ton of TVL. Yeah, but the problem with Ethereum L2 is Ethereum L2 doesn't actually benefit the stakers any. Thoughts on Corium? Isn't that like JP Morgan's private version of Ethereum? I don't think that really. I think like that's going to play a big role in like payments and especially in JP Morgan's internal dealings. I don't think that's going to affect crypto too much. Yeah, the thing is like the crypto in New York is just getting harder and harder. You might only be able to trade Bitcoin and Ethereum if you're in New York soon. So I would definitely have to find like something outside of New York to work with it. You think UAW strike going to affect crypto? I don't think UAW strike's going to affect crypto. Eventually they'll work something out. The thing is like the UAW should actually get their way because what the UAW is saying is like, hey, since you guys are in record profits right now, we basically want the benefits and the pay back that we actually gave up during '08 because you guys were in financial difficulties. Since you guys are no longer in financial difficulties and you're recording record profits, you need to like give those rights back. That's really what the UAW is saying. Because they're just pushing for a return back to like to pre-08 levels. The DeFi Academy got Wolf after COVID. I still have friends there. They say it's painful to live there. Bitcoin is pumping on news of President Bikuli's speech to the UN tonight. Things like that usually don't have an effect. I actually think people are optimistic about tomorrow's FOMC meeting. I think it's pretty much a wrap that they're not raising interest rates anymore. And I think that's what's actually gotten Bitcoin pumping. I mean, this is what people expect. After the FOMC meeting, I do expect a small dump and then like us to bounce back. I mean, there is a good chance that we'll actually reach 30K by the end of the month. Well, look, El Salvador is obviously down to their Bitcoin investment because they invested like when Bitcoin was more than 30K. So they're obviously down to the Bitcoin investment, but they're continuing to put more in Bitcoin. A lot of people actually think they should stop, but I think that they're doing right by doing that. What's your thoughts on putting a small percentage into copy trading? I don't exactly know what copy trading is. Can GFAL reach 1 billion? I mean, any of these gaming companies can reach 1 billion in market cap. This November may be green after all. I mean, you mean September? I do think September has a good chance to be green. Look, I've always said that like the whole September must be red thing is just more of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Britain could rejoin the European Union as an associate member. Look, the UK was never fully a member of the EU anyways, man. Because like even when they were a part of the EU, they refused to use the common EU currency. They were always like keeping their arms linked with the EU. Get XRP relisted with NYDPS, or they just let it be. I think they're definitely going to try to get relisted with NYDFS. Because like New York is the financial capital of America and maybe the world. So like if they want to do anything with like ODL or any of that stuff, they kind of have to get it relisted. SPY wins against the US SEC and new Bitcoin ETF filings. Investor drew $500 million over the last 9 weeks. Yeah, but those things didn't actually come through. But if the UAW get their way and aviation strike get their bumps, I'll lead to other union strikes, leading to more inflation. Maybe, but the thing is like, the thing is like these companies are just like, these companies are paying these record profits right into the executives' pockets. And also like, there is like, if they raise prices, there's going to be a sag on demand. So what these executives are doing is they're refusing to give up their own bonuses and stuff, because they've gotten used to the fat bonuses the last 10 years. So they're refusing to give up their own bonuses and go back to the way things were. I actually don't think so. I think there's enough upward pressure. Look, I think Bitcoin just dipped way too low. The SEC is keeping people scared. Like the SEC kept people scared for a long time, but now since the SEC is starting to lose all their cases, I think people are just more optimistic about the market. I think like based on the fact that interest rates are still high, there's not a lot of movement there, but there's probably going to be some movement upward. What about Citibank using Link for tokenization? I mean, that's good for Chainlink, but that's really, really good for Chainlink. I mean, I think Chainlink does have a lot of potential. So, I mean, I have some Chainlink, and I think people should grab some Link. Since Cardano's DeFi is coming up, does that help Cardano for the next bull run? I mean, yeah, if the DeFi grows, it will help Cardano for the next bull run, but the DeFi is kind of flatlined for Cardano since end of July. But the market's kind of flatlined as well, so I don't really blame it. I do think Cardano DeFi will actually blow up in the next bull run. It's just going to take a while. And like the thing is, SBF's parents not only received $16.8 million from the company, they also like received $10 million in like extra benefits from the companies too. So they actually received about $300 million. $30 million overall. And I'm pretty sure they spent the $30 million, so they can't actually give the $30 million back. You know, the thing is, I think Link will go over the all-time high. The thing is, like, Link's got a solid use case, and it's not really all that high in terms of market cap. It's $3 billion. Like, the max was 52. I think it'll get to like 75, maybe $100. One or a few exec bonuses doesn't lead to permanent 36% wage increase. It's not just one or like there's a lot of it's like I think it's like with upper management and exec. Look, the thing is like upper management and exec salaries since the 1970s have outpaced like workers' salaries from like by like 12 or like 15 to 1. Ethereum DeFi isn't dying, it's still there. So like you're talking about billions upon trillions of dollars being paid to these executives that should have gone to the workers. There's no reason why exec salaries should have outpaced worker salaries by so much. It's not like they're doing more. I mean, the workers, like per worker, like people are actually getting more efficient, but their salaries just haven't kept up because they're basically like scraping all the salaries and giving to the execs. Remember, like these bonuses are tens of millions of dollars. Like these bonuses per exec are tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, and their salaries are going up by millions a year. So like one exec equals like hundreds of workers. You get like 100 execs, that's like 10,000 workers' salary increases. When we're talking about record profits, we're talking about tens of billions. So like since they actually got record profits now, they do actually need to go back to pre-08, like pre-08s, because even then, like execs were making plenty of money. They just weren't making as much money as they're making now. Because like, when Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and like Lehman Brothers fell apart, the economy kind of crashed about like back in '08, and all the auto companies were actually having financial troubles. So they used that as an excuse. They use that as an excuse to actually like lower like benefits and salaries. Now, since they got record profits, they should actually give them back. No, it's easy to get execs. Execs aren't special people, and it's not like these execs, they screw up all the time. You put $2-3 million, you put like a $5 million salary on the table, you will get plenty of talented people. People act like these execs are hard to replace. They're not hard to replace. Half of them are horrible. They're just as like a lot of them are just as incompetent, if not more incompetent than the employees themselves. This is why like this is why the wealth gap is actually constantly increasing in the United States, because like people idolize these execs, but they're crappy people just like everyone else. Blaming inflation on us workers, not the companies. Yeah, you need to blame it. Like, don't blame the inflation on solely the workers. Blame it on the company, because workers' salaries really haven't gone up all that much. It's the exec salaries and compensation that have gone through the roof. They're the problem, not the companies or the workers themselves. Is you can't get rid of the good ones easily, because if you do, the shareholders will dump the stock, and there goes the company's leverage. No, the thing is, like, when companies fire execs, like, a lot of times the shareholder, like, as the price doesn't even go down. Like when they actually cut workers, like the share value usually goes up. But if you can combine divisions and get rid of execs. I don't believe they're making record profits. Well, in their own reports, they're making record profits. So you have to believe they're making record profits. Because like, look, cars are selling at dealerships because they're all selling at a premium right now. The thing is, if they actually push those raises onto customers, less people will buy cars, so it doesn't actually help them. Well, I mean, like, if you don't believe the numbers, you don't believe the numbers. But that's all we have to go by. Like, their numbers indicate record profits. So if they don't want people to believe they have record profits, they should actually report lower numbers. Awful with the consistent DC movie failures. Look, a lot of execs are really, really bad, but they basically defend their own profits and their own salaries. Exec salaries should go up according to inflation, just like worker salaries. But worker salaries actually haven't kept up with inflation, where exec salaries have risen like 20 times the inflation amount. So what's ridiculous in the United States is the disparity between executive salaries and worker salaries. It's not like that anywhere else in the world. So like the problem with the car companies and like why they're constantly hemorrhaging money is the executives. When you're giving multi-million-dollar bonuses to a group of like 20 people, yeah, you're hemorrhaging billions of dollars. You're hemorrhaging like billions of dollars on a couple of people. Fed into the stock number, though, by buyback. They do buy buybacks, but buybacks also benefit the executives, because the executives often hold a lot of stock in the company itself. Like a lot of times the CEO and the CTOs, they're like the biggest beneficiaries of the stock buyback. Yes, the small shareholders benefit as well, but a lot of times it is the executives that benefit from the stock buyback. I mean, it's crap like, the Best Buy CEO a couple of years ago. Like he was really bad, lost the company a bunch of money. He still got paid a huge bonus, and he left with a golden parachute, a severance package. That's absolutely ridiculous. You can hire any bum off the street like that. Yeah. Ford has like Ford Motor gross profit for 12 months ending June 30th was $25 billion, a 9.25 increase year over year. Ford Motor gross annual profit for 2022 was $23.66 billion, a 9.08 increase from 2021. Ford Motor annual gross profit for 2021 was $21.69 billion, a 50% increase from 2020. So basically, they went from $10 billion in profits to $25 billion in profits in 3 years. They're pretty much at record profits, and they're refusing to turn those profits over to the workers. So yes, so like Ford has made record profits in the last couple of years. And they're refusing worker salary raises because they want to funnel all that money to the executives. And like the US doesn't really have caps on executive compensation. So the executives basically just funnel all the money to themselves. And make no mistake, the executives are the ones that are the most corrupt, and they're the ones that are like constantly precipitating fraud. It's not the workers, it's the executives. Any new countries? It is greedflation. It's basically the executives and the corporate class are the reason that prices are actually going up. Yes, it's money printing, but it's also the executives and their greed that's making prices go up because they're constantly wanting more salaries, which means things have to cost more. No, it's actually the ratio of exec salaries to labor salaries. Of course, execs make more, but they don't need to make like 360 times more. Do you realize in the United States that like the average executive makes like 500 times more than the average worker? It's like way more than any other country. Like other countries, it's like 30 or 40 to 1. In America, it's like 400 to 1 right now. It's ridiculous. Like, yeah, sure, executives need to make more, but the ratio shouldn't be that tilted. Like back in 1950, it was like 12 to 1 from executive to worker. So like if a worker actually made for an example, if a worker made $30,000 back then, an executive would make $360,000. Now it's like if a worker makes $30,000, they make like $10 million. So the thing is like, it's completely ridiculous how that's actually grown. Polkadot and Circle, the stablecoin issuers, have launched native USDC. Like, if worker salaries scale with inflation, executive salaries should also scale with inflation. Yeah, they're always going to make more. They should make more because they're in a higher position, but they shouldn't make that much more. Polkadot and Circle, the stablecoin issuer. Dude, that's just like a movie thing. Just forget about Gordon Gekko. People like him are. It's a lot due to people like him that America's in this giant mess. Like, look, the thing is, executives and investors have made unrealistic expectations from companies. They expect companies to have infinite growth forever, which isn't really a thing. Bonus at 100% of her salary. Spacecraft is set to deliver NASA's first pristine asteroid sample on. Okay. He was lying in that speech. Gordon Gekko? Dude, Gordon Gekko is a fictitious character, man. Forget Gordon Gekko. Like, the thing is, workers, because of the technology, have gotten a lot more productive since then. It's just that the salaries really haven't matched. And like the financial industry, like being able to make up like random ass products to sell them to people and taking huge fees, it's part of the reason for like the increase in the wealth gap. Cash is not going anywhere. It might be paperless cash, but fiat's not really going anywhere. It's going to be around in 10 or 20 years. It's still going to be dominant in 10 or 20 years. Crypto's main hope is to become a parallel economy. It's not to replace fiat. Fiat cash is not going anywhere. Like, the dollar isn't going anywhere. I know that Crypto Lark made another video about how fiat is dying. Fiat is not dying. It's going to be here in 10 years. It's going to be here in 20 years. Governments won't give up their ability to print. And like I said, Bitcoin has its own Bitcoin has its own big problems. Like in 10 or 20 years, how are you going to maintain the electricity costs? Like Bitcoin hash rate basically has to continue going up just to maintain security. Like, do you realize like how much hash rate you would actually have to have if Bitcoin was the world's currency? Do you realize how much hash rate you would have to have and how much energy that would take? I don't know if like even a big country can generate that much energy. Because like the thing is like Bitcoin's energy costs go up like 4x every cycle. So in 16 years, you're going to have you're basically going to have like 4 to the 4th power in terms of energy generation. It's not sustainable at all. Like because the hash rate has to go up and because of the halving, like yes, you can actually make more efficient miners, but they're not going to quadruple in efficiency every 4 years. So basically like 4 years from now, you need to have 4x the energy output. In 8 years, you need to have 16x the energy output. In 12 years, you need 64 the energy output. So it doesn't really work. And Bitcoin going to proof of stake doesn't really work either, because unless you increase the cap, which the total amount of Bitcoin, which introduces inflation, you're not going to be able to pay the miners enough rewards. What do you think? US passing 30 I don't really see it as a big deal, honestly. Like, yeah, they need to control it, but what they're really doing is they're just issuing more bonds. The Fed isn't printing any more money. The US does actually need to the US needs to find a way to tone it down. But realistically, like a country's debt doesn't work. Like a country's debt does not work like your own debt. USDC now supports a total of 14 blockchains. Yeah, USDC is going to support more and more blockchains because they want to be in more and more places. I mean, it's beneficial for USDC to be on multiple blockchains. Multi-chain is the future. Who buys the bonds? Like everyone, like the general public. Dude, people are putting a ton of money into bonds right now because the interest rates are higher. Like you should definitely not buy a variable rate bond. I mean, if you can get 5% on like a 2-year bond, a ton of people are actually going to the bond and money markets. That's where all the money's going. That's why crypto's so low right now. Like crypto is actually low right now because of that. Americans are the primary customers of the bonds. Like 70% or 80% of all bonds are held by Americans themselves. The thing is, it's the next store of value only because people believe it has money. Like Bitcoin's not like gold, where like you actually need gold to make electronics and a lot of other stuff. You don't really need Bitcoin for anything. It has value because people believe it has value. But if the electricity costs and the power generation requirements are too great, it's going to fall apart. Crypto will get them more money overall, but it's also very risky. Bonds are not risky. So a lot of people just tend to avoid risk. I don't know who Gordon Gekko is based on. It could be Carl Icahn, or it could be any of those fat cats. Who knows? A lot of the fat cats all think the same. Oh, by the ways, if you guys haven't heard, Twitter actually might be going behind a paywall. Elon Musk has floated like making Twitter pay to use. He says it's because he wants to get rid of the bots. Me personally, I think Elon Musk is really like kind of desperate to make Twitter profitable, because I don't think Twitter is actually profitable. So like he wants to make Twitter profitable. So he's actually floated the idea of making Twitter like completely behind a paywall, which I think is a really bad idea. Because I think like Twitter will lose a lot of influence if it actually goes behind a paywall. I think it's a dumb idea, because like he says it's to combat bots. But you know, the thing is, like, if Twitter goes behind a paywall, I might buy some Facebook stock, because that gives a Threads a chance. That gives Facebook Threads a chance to actually come up. So this is actually from The Guardian. Even if it's only $1 a month. Like the thing is, even if it's only $1 a month, it's going to be really bad for Twitter. So this is the article right here. So Elon Musk says Twitter, now X, could charge all user subscription fees. Billionaire also says platform has 550 million users generating up to 200 million posts a day. My guess is that 550 million monthly users is going to go down to like 55 million users if he actually puts it behind a paywall. So Elon Musk has indicated X, formerly known as Twitter, is considering charging all users for accessing the platform. The X owner says erecting a paywall around businesses would ward off the bots or automated accounts. So like